Thank you all for joining us here on this special edition of the Latino Vote podcast. Voices is what we call it, when we get the opportunity to sit down with somebody particularly unique and special in our Latino community. And I can't think of somebody that meets the profile of both unique and special more than Mickey Ibarra. Mickey, I'm going to allow you to introduce yourself a little bit. And I like to do that because rather than me kind of reading your list of bios, I'm going to cover a little bit of it. Mm-hmm. I want you to kind of cover the things that most impacted your development, as opposed to me just kind of reading off of an extraordinary resume. But let me tell you how I got to know and meet Mickey and kind of learn from him from afar. Is you were one of the first really prominent Latino names that was advising the White House in the Clinton administration. Now, I was, an undergraduate, I would imagine, probably at that time at Georgetown University in the early mid-90s. So to see a Latino at that kind of a place and the feedback there, this was the most important part. There has never been anybody who has ever said anything but the most delightful things about you, Mickey, which in politics is a trick. I certainly don't have that calling card. I will say that for sure. But it's also when you say Mickey Ibarra, anybody when you're having a conversation, how's Mickey doing? What's he up to now? What's he working on? Are you going to Mickey's event? Have you seen him lately? There's always a smile on everybody's face that comes. And I think that's just such a testament to who you are and what you've done. And before I turn it over to you, maybe I'm going to glow on you a little bit more than I thought I would. You have done something that I think is extraordinary in our community, which is you have created both a place and a physical structure for Latinos across partisan lines, across industry lines, across every aspect of who we are in American society. You have given it form, you have given it place, and you have told those stories. And what I think is so unique and special about that is when our children's children look back and are trying to understand our story in America, your work is going to be like the DNA that's written on what happened with the Latino stories that unfolded during these years of transformation when we became a non-white majority country led by Latino change. So I'm a big, huge fan. When you were in town, I was like, I need a little bit of time from him. We're here in Sacramento, which is part of your story.
Yes.
So in many ways, it's kind of a homecoming. But Mickey, tell us a little bit about Mickey Ibarra.
Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you.
Yeah.
I mean, what you do on your podcast in many ways is what I've embraced as a mission of mine, and that is telling our stories. Yeah. A platform with a podcast, for me, several books, and perhaps we'll get a chance to chat about that a bit. But again, I feel so strongly in our stories. The power of our stories, the inspiration, the motivation, and the importance of us sharing our stories. You asked me about mine. Mike, I was an assistant to the President of the United States before I ever mustered the courage to share my story. And my story includes being raised in Utah foster care for most of the first 15 years of my life with my brother David. My father came to Utah as a bracero from Oaxaca, a Zapotec Indio, to pick fruit in Spanish Fork, Utah. Eventually found a better job, Kennecott Copper Mine, outside of Salt Lake City, a union job, better pay, job security, benefits. Drafted by the United States Army while he was working undocumented.
Is that right?
At Kennecott.
Huh.
People forget you don't have to be a citizen to serve in the United States military.
But drafted.
Drafted, non-citizen. During the Korean conflict, fortunately for him, he wasn't sent to Korea, but rather sent to Germany. He spent 2 years in Germany with NATO forces there. Returned to Kennecott Copper Mine with a valuable new benefit, the GI Bill for education.
Yeah.
Dad cashed it in. Not at the University of Utah, where I had the privilege of graduating many years later, but at the Hollywood Beauty College in downtown Salt Lake City.
Right? Huh.
Francisco Nicolas Santiago Ibarra became a hairstylist. A hairstylist. Left the mine, reunited with family in Sacramento, and realized his dream, his own business, the Mona Lisa House of Beauty. Dad had it going on in his small business, the beauty salon, for nearly 30 years in South Sacramento on Florin Road near
down
Southgate.
The street. Yeah.
Yes. He had it going on. And at any rate, my brother and I had the fortuitous opportunity to reunite with my father here in Sacramento. At this time, I was 15, David, my younger brother, 11 months younger. And we had the opportunity to live with my dad. One of the struggles that David and I had in foster care in Utah was our own identity. Who are we?
Yeah.
Who are we? We looked around, didn't see many kids that looked like us. And it really gave us an opportunity to come to terms with being Latino, being Mexicano. I'll tell you what, you could take Mexico, you could take my dad out of Mexico, but you could never take Mexico out of my dad.
Beautiful. Well said.
And so that really helped. But getting introduced to family.
This is the mid-'60s now.
Yes,
no?
This is 1966.
The rise of the Chicano movement, too, is just becoming a thing.
My brother and I landed here in Sacramento, moved in with my dad in the summer of 1966.
Wow.
And so it really gave us an opportunity to be introduced to family members, Mexicanos, the people, the language, much more casual, even the religion. I mean, it was just very different environment. And as it turned out, it made all the difference, particularly in my brother's life, who was really struggling in Utah.
Older brother, younger brother?
Younger brother, 11 months younger. Okay. So we call ourselves Mexican twins.
Yeah, right there. I love that.
But at any rate, and I'm so proud now to really introduce my brother often as the success in our family.
Yeah.
He has done very well, returned to Utah, which was a big surprise to me, but returned to Utah and has been in business his entire career and has done very, very well. I'm looking forward to later this week, he and I are going to reunite, just the two of us, for 4 days in Puerto Vallarta.
Wow. Beautiful. Wonderful.
Yeah, at his home there. So at any rate, that was a beginning of a real seminal change moment in my life, was embracing and learning and loving my identity as a Latino.
Latinidad.
Exactly.
Yeah, exploring.
So that was,
finding
yes, and it led to so many other things.
So, Mickey, you graduate from Luther Burbank High School here in Sacramento, down the street.
Yes. You
have a graduation ceremony at the Memorial Auditorium.
Yes.
And then where does life take you? Where do you go from there?
Well, fortunately, I didn't lose my connections in Utah. We had one foster family that lived in Provo, Utah. It's the family that Isla and Cecil Smith, a wonderful Mormon family who looked after David and I for over 6 years in Provo. And they never gave up. Well, they were so disappointed that David and I made the decision to reunite with my father. They understood that it was our decision to make. But they never let go of me and always encouraged me to return to school in Utah, Brigham Young University.
Okay. Wow.
So for a high school kid at Luther Burbank, I didn't have very many schools competing for my attention.
Right.
It was a whole different era.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to come to BYU. And so I was familiar with BYU. They were my first college football and sports teams and all that sort of thing as a little kid. But I went and enrolled at Brigham Young University as a freshman. And I didn't last so long. I lasted my freshman year, did not do well, ran out of money. My parents on either side, my mother came back into my life much later, but
was it primarily financial, or were you just not built for school?
It was financial. I was built for school. I was always a successful, well-motivated, I was not an A student. I don't want to mislead you that way. But at any rate, it was primarily financial, but it was also maturational, meaning that I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I was struggling with the finances, and I looked to my dad and the GI Bill that he enjoyed. I enlisted in the United States Army 1970, Mike, and you know what was going on in this country
to be signing up.
in 1970. That was your one-way ticket to Saigon.
Yeah.
Somehow, Mike, I knew I wasn't going to Vietnam in 1970. And lo and behold, left on the Greyhound bus station right down here in downtown Sacramento, bus to the Oakland Induction Center, sworn into the United States Army, sent to Fort Ord basic training. Mm-hmm. Went on for advanced training in Virginia and Fort Lee, Virginia, Petersburg, and came down on orders for Saigon. I said, what? Aircraft repair parts specialist was my MOS. A few days later, I got new orders, putting the previous orders on hold. I waited for about 30 days, came down to new orders to Frankfurt, Germany. Just like Francisco Ibarra.
Father.
During the Korean conflict.
Yeah.
What were the chances of that?
Someone's looking out for both of you.
And I served in the United States Army in Germany for nearly 2.5 years, returned with a valuable new benefit, the GI Bill for education, and enrolled right where I left off at Brigham Young University.
Okay.
But I arrived 3 years older, much more mature, much more focused, and ready to go to work, to get an education. And it all worked out. I graduated cum laude. I like to say I really graduated, thank you, Lordy, but they called it cum laude. And with a degree in political science from BYU.
You've always been drawn to it. Well, you were the president of your high school graduating class.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
Yes, I was.
So you've always had that Mickey Ibarra charm and charisma, and people...
When I try to identify, okay, so what's this political thing you got going on?
Yeah.
Well, it started at Luther Burbank High School. I had a government teacher that made all the difference in my life by giving us extra credit for attending school board meetings, for attending city council meetings, for attending political events. Mike, in 1968, I'm a junior in high school at Mr. Steinberg's government class at Luther Burbank. He offers extra credit for any student that goes and parks themselves inside the Memorial Auditorium to hear the Vice President of the United States, Hubert Humphrey, campaigning in the primary election for President of the United States in California, 1968.
Heck of a time.
I heard my first presidential full-blown campaign speech in the Memorial Auditorium.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, Mike, to this day, it gets hair standing up on the back of my neck.
I bet it does.
I said, oh my gosh. He was impressive. Most folks don't recall. Very articulate, very, very well spoken.
Passionate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very passionate. And that very same summer, I also got a chance to witness Robert F. Kennedy on the campaign trail. Just imagine that, 1968.
I'm going to come back.
What was going on in California?
Well, the country.
And that grabbed me, Mike.
Yeah.
It grabbed me. I wanted to be a part of fighting for change. Fighting for our community.
Is your sense that that's emerging now at this moment again?
Well, there is one big difference that I see, and that is too much, in my view, we've gone from so much skepticism, so much attack on institutions of importance in our country that has really degraded our democracy and continues, I think, as a threat to democracy. I'm very concerned about that. I had high aspirations, and Hubert Humphrey and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. were a part of that. They were hopeful candidates. What was the nickname that Hubert Humphrey enjoyed? The Happy Warrior. You probably haven't heard that in a long time.
Right.
But he was known as the Happy Warrior.
Yeah, we got a lot more warrior now than happy.
So, at any rate, that was kind of my grounding in the
This is helpful, and I want you to
politics.
I want to get to the arc on how you get to the White House, but I'm going to jump in and just kind of ask some questions because this is fascinating. 68 to me, I think, is a really fascinating year because What we're seeing now is just a complete erosion and mistrust in institutions, but there had to be some of that too, right?
Of course.
Watergate, of course, hadn't happened yet, but young people are being shipped off to Vietnam.
Oh, this is
the boomer generation.
68 was the height of Vietnam.
68 was a hell of a year, Mickey.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've looked back. I was actually speaking to a Los Angeles Times reporter not too long ago. Maybe it was a little bit a while ago now. It was actually literally in the midst of the George Floyd protests. And it felt like the world was coming apart. And I said, George, it was George Skelton, who's been.
Oh, yes.
You know George.
Yes.
He's been covering California
LA.
politics. And so I asked him at the end of it, he was calling me about some Latino issues. And so we wrapped up the interview. And I said, George, I got to ask you a question. Have you ever seen it this bad? And he stopped and he paused and he leaned back and he said, 68 was pretty bad. And that was, remember, Reagan is on the campaign trail.
Oh, yes.
And he's for governor of California. And he goes, I remember following Reagan to UC Riverside and the student protests. And
Berkeley.
Broken windows and Robert Kennedy and the Chicano movement's happening. And there's this ethnic racial consciousness that's kind of gripping the state. Are there any comparisons, Mickey, to then and now? Are there lessons to be learned?
Well, there certainly are, I think, comparisons. Yeah. Because I think, Mike, you're quite right. You've got your finger on the pulse there. This was a very troubled nation. Yeah. Often refer to this era as the sick 60s. And there's some truth in that. I mean, to think that I remember waking up, it was at night about 10 o'clock in my dad's in our apartment, to the news that Robert F. Kennedy had just been shot. Yeah. How old are you in 68? In 68, I would have been 17. Yeah. I mean, and at Southgate Mall, my brother and I had rode our bicycle because we heard Robert F. Kennedy was going to be campaigning there. Yeah. No fancy stages back then. Right. They actually erected like a 10-foot ladder in the middle of the mall space, and he climbed up the top to get above. And spoke up from the ladder. Yeah. And spoke from a ladder. Yeah. No microphone. Yeah. At any rate, my brother and I hustled and positioned ourselves at the bottom of that ladder and got a chance to shake his hand. Is that right? Yes. Yes. And those are the kinds of moments that really made a difference, I think, in my mind. But again, yes, it was a very unhappy time, a very tumultuous time. I mean, my gosh, it led to President Johnson announcing that he would not run nor accept the nomination of his party. And then given the big battle between Kennedy and Humphrey. But yes, and yet I sense that we're in more trouble today than we were then. Yeah. And I also, however, am encouraged by the recovery of America after the 60s. We got past Vietnam. Regrettably, sometimes I wonder, we have short memories in history. Right. But we got past Vietnam. This country did come back together. I happen to work for a president, by comparison today, of late, that I really felt was committed to putting people first and bringing the nation together. Yeah. And President Clinton was the kind of president that I think I certainly was able to commit to and assist. We need more. Do you still keep in touch with the president? I do. Not often, but he hosts an annual dinner at his home. You know, he has a residence in Washington, D.C. also. Right near just off Mass Avenue, just above the Italian embassy. And he's got a beautiful home there, and he has an annual dinner every spring. And for the appointees and the leadership team and all? Yes. Yeah. And those that are assisting him, of course, continuing his work through the Clinton Foundation, which is, again, I think a lasting legacy to his mantra of putting people first. So, yes, I've seen the nation in trouble before. I would designate 1968, that whole era. We got past it. We got better. We got over it. Well, the Latino community has no reason, none that I'm aware of, to be satisfied today. Yeah. The fact of the matter is we do have many reasons to celebrate our progress and success. That's what I want to be a part of. And let's talk about that now. So we're here to talk, by the way, incidentally, because you're releasing a new book. Yes. Latino Leaders Speak, Volume 2. Yes. There is a Volume 1. Yes. So your work continued, and you profile those voices.
that are kind of driving the narrative of Latinidad, of who Latinos are.
Yes.
And politics is obviously a big part of that. And
Yes.
we'll talk about some of those figures, but it's also more than that.
Yes.
It's culture, it's music, it's entertainment, it's industry.
We have leaders in all sectors of our
What
society.
a fascinating change from when you were 17 years old.
Yes.
Trying to figure out what, meeting your own Latinidad in your own family when you were kind of so far removed from it. And now it's kind of everywhere. It's ubiquitous. The arc of your life story is just extraordinary.
Well, I feel very, very fortunate. There were so many good people that came forward at just the right time to help two young boys find their way.
Yeah.
And that kind of humanity, that kind of caring is what we need to highlight and set an example for. You referenced the book, both volumes. The chapters in this book, the leaders featured in this book, these are keynote remarks delivered at the signature event of the Latino Leaders Network, which I founded in 2004.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? Mike, we've just begun this year, the 22nd year of the Latino Leaders Network. What is that? What do you do? We are dedicated to bringing our leaders together by celebrating our progress. Our leaders need to be motivated. Our leaders need to be reminded of the impact they make on each other. They need to be recharged and recommitted and re-anchored at times. And our leadership stories help us do that. And 33 leaders featured in Volume 1, again, all of them recipients of the Eagle Leadership Award.
Yeah.
A big requirement, in addition to being a national Latino leader figure in some area, they have to be willing to share their story, personal story of obstacles overcome to achieve success. Some are not comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
And we understand that and accept that. As I mentioned earlier, I wasn't willing to do it till I was at the White House.
That's amazing.
I just didn't feel comfortable sharing my story. Even then, I was a little bit ashamed of my story. And also, I think much of it was a reflex to try to protect my parents. Who gives their kids away? Who does that? Well, there's a lot of answers and reasons for that.
Yeah.
But I just kind of sense a part of it was that. But as I listened to the man from hope, Bill Clinton, tell his story first in video format. Bill Clinton was the first presidential candidate that I'm aware of, Mike, that introduced himself to the American public in video format.
Oh, interesting.
You can still Google it, The Man from Hope.
It's a great video. That was like when I was doing my first congressional campaign.
Yeah.
And it was remarkable.
Wow.
He was so much younger.
And to see that picture of him in Boy State at the White House, at the Rose Garden, shaking the hand of John F. Kennedy.
Yeah. What? And that, as I understand it, that was found during the research of that video, right? He didn't know that it existed.
Yes. So, I understand people that aren't comfortable telling their story, but to make our honoree list, to be eligible to be featured in the Latino Leaders book, Personal Stories of Struggle and Triumph, you got to be willing to do that. I'm pleased to also share with you that my story, the Mickey Ibarra story, is also included in Volume 2.
Wonderful.
Where I delivered the keynote address at the 50th event of the Latino Leaders Luncheon Series that we convened in my hometown, Salt Lake City, to release Volume 1
what a beautiful story.
of our book in 2017.
Tell me what the origin story was of the Latino Leadership Network. Like how does it, what are the seeds of this? What was the spark that said this needs to be done and I want to do it in this way?
My 4 years at the White House with President Clinton.
Mm-hmm. What years were there? What years were you there?
I joined the White House in 1997 and served through the final hour of the final day, exactly noon, January 20th in 2001, and was able to serve at the senior level as an assistant to the president and director of intergovernmental affairs, meaning my constituents were all state and local elected officials, all the governors, all the mayors, and everything.
A lot of travel in that job.
And I had 9 political appointees with me at the White House.
Yeah.
And of course, there's an Office of Intergovernmental Affairs in nearly every department and agency.
Yeah.
And they were all very instrumental in helping us deliver on 2 key responsibilities of our office. One, to promote the policies of the president. And secondly, to respond to the concerns of our partners in government. I describe that to my team as not only a responsibility, but an attitude. An attitude. Respond to our partners. And so that experience really provided me with the opportunity to meet so many outstanding leaders, Mike.
That's where Mickey Ibarra became Mickey Ibarra, I think. Right? Is because I think you really redefined that role.
Yeah.
And again, I was a young Latino, going to school back east, but I just remember hearing your name and going, oh, there's one of us. There's somebody that, that's up way up there. It's got the ear of the president. But you were everywhere. Like everybody. You would talk to people from all these different states, state legislators, city council members, county supervisors, governor's offices, and everybody was kind of tracking you. It's like a Latino, where's Waldo? Like, where's Mickey, right?
One of the things I enjoyed was a West Wing office.
Yeah.
And a very nice office. I shared with folks that the office really had very little to do with me. But what it had to do with most of these officials that I worked with always wanted to meet with the president, and unfortunately, the consolation prize was Mickey Ibarra.
Good for you, though.
But he had a nice office in the West Wing, so they usually got over it, and we had a nice visit. So yes, but because of that platform, very unique, West Wing. I tell you, when you call from the West Wing, most people will take the call or return it. And that experience connected me to so many Latino leaders and other leaders from all backgrounds.
You met everybody in 4 years. You met everybody in the country.
Had a great opportunity.
Best Rolodex in the country, I would imagine.
Well, it was, I called it the best non-elected position in the White House.
100%.
And it was that experience. I left the White House at the final day and opened my new business. Mike, something I never dreamed possible. I spent the first 25 years of my professional career in the nonprofit sector, a teacher of at-risk high school students in Utah, a union organizer with the National Education Association, NEA, CTA in Washington, D.C., and then as a White House official. The first 25 years of my career in the nonprofit sector. I give my brother, who's had his entire career in the private sector, I give him most credit for convincing me that it was time for me to show that I could do something in the private sector as well. And to take that knowledge, take that experience, take that Rolodex, and go out there and make a difference for clients.
And boy, have you.
And I'm proud to say that this year we begin the 25th year of the Ibarra Strategy Group. And when we started, there weren't very many Latino-owned lobby shops in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
So at any rate, it was really that experience at the White House and then in business. But I opened my business 2001, 2 or 3 years. I realized, Mike, something was missing. Something was missing. This could not simply be about Mickey Ibarra advocating for clients. I was losing my platform to advocate for my community and our leadership. And so what I decided would be, it started just as my business started, really as an experiment. I decided we're going to form an organization. We are going to the Democratic Convention in Boston in 2004, where I've been reading there are going to be more Latino delegates elected from the country in the history of the Democratic Party. I asked one of my team members, see if anybody's hosting them for lunch. See. They report back, nobody's hosting them for lunch. It's never been done before. I said, wow, the caucus meetings happen in the morning. 2004. It's 2004.
It was only 20 years ago.
The caucus meeting, the caucus meetings, the Latino caucus meeting, it all happens in the morning. Then everybody disperses throughout the day till they convene back at the convention center for their business in the evening. Well, I said, well, we're going to try it. Let's just try it. Let's go find a couple, 3 sponsors. And let's see if we can convene a lunch. And we're going to convene a lunch that honors a leader that's willing to tell their story. We're going to be dedicated to sharing our stories. Lo and behold, Boston, 2004 Democratic Convention that nominated John Kerry for president and introduced the nation to a little-known state legislator by the name of Barack Obama. And, Mike, 500 primarily delegates, Latino delegates elected from all over the country, showed up for lunch.
500.
The Latino Leaders Luncheon.
That's beautiful.
We honored a terrific leader, shared their story. When I saw that, honestly, I built the luncheon with many people assisting me as a one-off. I never thought about a series. What? This has never been done before. Let's see what happens. When I saw that room, you know how unruly conventions are.
Yeah.
And I've attended conventions on both the Republican side and the Democratic side there. You could have heard a pin drop as our speakers shared their story. And I knew we had something that just had to continue. And that's when we eventually created a 501c3, the official Latino Leaders Network, and continued the luncheon series, and then also established a second signature event, the Tribute to Mayors. One of my major constituencies as Director of Intergovernmental Mayors.
Yeah.
It's in that experience, Mike, when I learned what a difference a mayor can make in their community.
Enormous. Of any size, city of any size.
I mean, unlike a member of Congress, they can't hide.
No.
Everybody knows where they live.
Everybody knows.
And at any rate, I wanted to do something to stay connected to our nation's movers and shakers, our mayors. And so we established the Tribute to Mayors, decided we were going to go where the mayors are. They meet twice a year, every year. Winter meeting, always in January, the U.S. Conference of Mayors, annual winter meeting.
Yeah.
In the summer, they move it around the country for the summer meeting of the U.S. Conference of Mayors. This year, it continues. The 43rd Tribute to Mayors will convene in Washington, D.C. on January 28th to honor Mayor Quinton Lucas of Kansas City with the Antonio Villaraigosa Leadership Award.
Antonio.
And Antonio's going to be right there with me.
Good.
To present that award.
He's like a father to me. I love Antonio. Such a good man.
Yeah.
And thank you for doing that. But I'm really taken by how brilliant an idea it was. It's allowed a network to continue. It's very much associated with you, but it's kind of taken on a life of its own.
Intentionally.
Okay, so that was by design.
Intentionally, yes.
Okay.
I mean, my gosh. 43 Tribute to Mayors.
Yeah.
43 on January 28th.
Coming up.
Yes. And we will convene the 77th luncheon of the series.
Wow.
We do 2, 3, 4 a year. We're going to do 2 in 2026, Denver and Los Angeles. The 77th luncheon is the next. So those are our 2 signature events. But the short of it is, Mike, that Latino Leaders Network has helped me build a platform to stay connected to our community, stay connected to our leaders, bring leaders together to share our stories and help each other by reminding us of our responsibilities to stay tethered to the moral moorings of helping each other succeed.
It's almost like we need, thank God it's there, but like if we didn't have it, that's exactly what we need right now.
And, you know, I agree. Perhaps the Latino Leaders Network is more relevant today than it was even in 2004.
Yeah. We're going to put at the bottom of this, in the comment section, ways to get contact information on how to be engaged, how to financially support it, how to just get on a newsletter, whatever communications you have, because I think there's a real hunger for this at this moment.
Yes.
The power of all of these Latino elected officials nationally who network together, and it's not just elected officials. It's the leaders of all of these different aspects of Latino identity and culture and the economy, all networking together. It's a very powerful group.
There's one more aspect I want to just point out also. The luncheon series and the Volume 1 and Volume 2 that's resulted, the Latino Leaders Speak, National Latino Leaders. I might even put a finer point on it. American Latino Leaders. Exclusive.
Yeah.
Yes. Tribute to mayors. Every mayor in America is eligible to receive an award.
Love it.
What's our main criteria? Doing right by the Latino community.
Love it.
To include us. That's why a Mayor Q, they call him in Kansas City, Mayor Quinton Lucas, African-American, terrific mayor, great champion for the Latino community.
Wonderful.
Is honored on January 28th.
I love it.
We have another little story that I'm excited about with
Tell me.
January 28th.
Yeah.
Helena Moreno. What? Helena Moreno, mayor-elect today of New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh.
Born in Veracruz.
Wow. Immigrant herself.
White mother, Mexican father.
Veracruz.
Veracruz. Left Veracruz, first to Houston, then to New Orleans. She has served in the state legislature, served in the city council of New Orleans. And next week, on January 16th, she will be inaugurated as the new mayor of New Orleans, Helena Moreno. We have invited her to join us in Washington at our Tribute to Mayors to give her the opportunity to introduce herself to our 250 dinner guests.
Oh, you got to let me know.
You
Mickey, I'm going to be giving a speech in New Orleans late February, so I'm going to ask you to help me out.
Yes.
Maybe we'll do another Voices with her.
Well,
what a story.
Yes. Oh,
What a
my
story.
gosh. And she's a former news broadcaster,
Wonderful.
morning anchor,
Wow.
articulate. I'm so proud of her. Those are the stories that we need to share with our own community and others. Those are the stories that inspire us to greatness.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear her story.
Yeah.
But speaking of stories, walk us through how you selected some of the folks for the second volume.
Yes. First and foremost, they, of course, had to be recipients of the Eagle Leadership Award, Eagle Leadership Award of the Latino Leaders Network. That's criteria one.
Tell us what the Eagle
That
Award is.
We view this as our highest honor. The Eagle Leadership Award is awarded to an outstanding leader in our community that's making a difference, an advocate, someone with empathy, someone with commitment, and someone with a record of achievement. And I will not live long enough to be able to present the Eagle Leadership Award to everybody that deserves it. And that's why it's so important for us to be talking about transition. I'm glad to talk about that to ensure that the Latino Leaders Network is my lasting legacy, for our community.
Yeah.
It needs to continue. We will never run out of powerful stories that need to be told. We'll never run out of leaders that are worthy of our recognition. We have so many role models, so many heroes, and so many leaders in our community.
Yeah.
So to get in the Eagle Leadership Board, you must be among the highest. And when you take a look at the list of leaders, you have photos there, but when you take a look at both Volume 1 and Volume 2, it's so impressive. And we intend to continue it. I like to believe that there'll be a Volume 3. I also want to give a little pitch and shout out and thanks to Arte Publico Press.
Arte Publico Press.
Arte Publico Press at the University of Houston is the largest publisher of Latino authors and literature in the nation.
No kidding.
And when we presented this book idea, they jumped on it like that.
Yeah.
And when I said, hey, I think since Volume 1 came out in 2017, we have a lot of leaders that we've honored that are worthy of a book as well. Let's do a Volume 2 like that. Absolutely.
Arte Publico Press. We will put that also in the link.
Yes.
We'll put a link to buy the book so that our people can, community can support it.
Yeah, let me put the pitch.
Yeah, please.
Yes, it's available on Amazon. Of course it is. And yet, I'd encourage listeners to think about ordering it directly from Arte Publico Press.
Yeah, well, absolutely.
Let's do business with ourselves.
Let's help support each other that way. I love that.
Yeah.
You got people like Arturo Vargas in here, Maria Cheveste in here.
Love her.
Padilla's in this one?
Maria?
Alex Padilla.
Yes. Yes, he is.
Who else?
He's actually in there twice.
Is he?
And the reason for that is that he was first received the Eagle Leadership Award in San Antonio when he was Secretary of State of California.
Yeah.
What we do, and that's a good example here, often we bring leaders from outside the community that we convene the luncheon in. Why is that? You know what I have found? Often when you bring someone from the outside into your community, it helps unite the community. It gives you the opportunity to leapfrog all over the petty jealousies and rivalries that too often exist in our community, and I'm sure other communities as well. But so in Alex Padilla, San Antonio, Texas is where he delivered his keynote and received the Eagle Leadership Award. Now, you were with us, and I'm so pleased you were there with us, Mike, in 2023, where we presented Alex a second Eagle Leadership Award, not as Secretary of State, but as the first Latino senator from California, something that makes, I'm sure, you and certainly our community so proud.
Very.
And Alex's credit, this is just who Alex is. I don't think I've shared this with often, but I'll share it with you and your listeners. I got a phone from Alex Padilla, who agreed to accept the Eagle Leadership Award in Sacramento at the Sutter Club in 2023, September. And he said, Mickey, I'd like you to consider also giving platform and honoring my wife, Angela Padilla. Mickey, if it wasn't for Angela, I couldn't do this job. Wow. I've never had a husband. I've never had a spouse
do that before.
Wow.
Yeah.
That says so much about Alex Padilla.
He's such a fascinating. We first met in our late 20s. He was the president of the LA City Council. I was working with the League of Cities at the time. That's who he is. He's just a man of great humility, a man of the community. He's an incredible public servant. And the recognition that it's not just him, it's everybody else doing it. And his wife, especially in her story,
yes,
just the whole
you
audience
heard it.
was
You
crying.
were there, wasn't that just
it was moving, unbelievable.
Mental health issues, her own impact on her own life.
Unbelievable story. So he was right. It's not like he was just doing it because of his wife. It's like she was very
worthy,
very worthy of it.
Yeah.
I'm talking today with Mickey Ibarra, a longtime person I've been fascinated with. It's great to spend this time with you. We're talking about the book, Latino Leaders Speak, Volume 2. You're going to be able to buy it here on the link. I would strongly suggest you do directly from the publisher because it allows more and more discussions for the next volume, Volume 3 and 4 and 5. And we're going to wrap up here, Mickey, but I do want you to... I want to take the opportunity to ask you a question that I think is particularly poignant at this time. Mm-hmm. If you were that 17-year-old boy interested in politics, moved by the chaos of the times that you're in the same way you were in 68, what advice do you give them today? What advice do you give to a young Latino seeing what's happening in our communities every day, watching a country tearing itself apart and trying to find out who it is? What do you tell them? What do you tell a younger Mickey Ibarra who, if you ran into Mickey Ibarra, son of Oaxacan immigrants at 17 today?
Actually, this is my the Latino Leaders Network Volume 2 is actually my third book.
Okay.
When I reached what I felt was a significant milestone in our nation's capital, Washington, my 30 years there, I took a time out, Mike, and said, I want to record, I want to write down, I want to leave behind tips for success that have made all the difference in my career at 30 years. I'm now over 40 years, but 30 years. A vice president of mine said to me, Mickey, when you're gone from the office, a lot of us joke that, hey, that's a Mickeyism. You say things and give advice so often, repetition. That goes back to my teaching days of at-risk high school students that, we call them Mickeyisms, and you ought to write a book. So I did. I don't think I've ever had an original idea in my life. And this is no exception. Mickeyisms. 30 tips for success. And one of the tips that I offer there that I think is germane to your question is Get prepared. Get prepared for opportunities that you may not be able to even imagine today. A half Mexican kid born in Salt Lake City, raised in foster care for most of the first 15 years of your life. Do you ever think I had imagined a West Wing office working for the President of the United States? But I do believe I did get prepared as much as you can to work in that environment with a good education, strong work ethic. As I look and summarize the stories that we're sharing in our books, one characteristic that jumps out at me. Our leaders refuse to give up. They refuse to give in. I hope that every reader of these books will get inspired, get prepared, and get ready to lead.
Wonderful way to end this interview. Mickey, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your work. You've been an inspiration to me personally over the years, but really to an entire generation of Latino leaders. Thank you for telling our stories. Thank you for sharing your story. And thanks for creating an opportunity where more stories can be told.
Thank you, Mike. I really have enjoyed being here. Appreciate it.